at it again, trying to get into work, but wanting to have a discussion. We've seen the news, YouTube, TV, newspapers, wherever you're reading about right now. If you're watching the NBA Finals, if you're a basketball fan, it's all about KD and the Achilles. We knew something was wrong when he was initially injured and couldn't play any of the games. A lot of the teams, a lot of the spokespersons were talking about, we don't need KD. It's obvious they need KD. And I know people were saying cheat mode, but I think it actually makes them competitive against some of these top tier teams with defensive capabilities. But now, with KD out, what does that do for the league? It's a ripple effect. A ripple effect in a downward spiral as teams had plans for the summer to try to put themselves in position for a championship run, just like the Toronto Raptors, and I think should be given a big raise, Mr. Mercury from the Toronto Raptors, and making moves to put their teams in position. The teams that I feel were in a strong running, because every team is actually in the running. Anything can happen. The Brooklyn Nets, the New York Knicks, the Los Angeles Lakers, the New Orleans Pelicans are in play, obviously, because of the picks that they have and AD, LA Clippers, Boston Celtics. These were the teams in contention, I feel, to land some of the top tier free agents. I could also throw in there, if I wanted to, the Philadelphia 76ers. That said, who were the players that were ready to go and move? And remember, this is a league of trades. When I call it trades, that means usually you want 3 All-Stars, and that gives you the ability to possibly make a championship run. Nowadays, some teams can do it 2 All-Stars and make it to a champion. And again, All-Star not meaning made the All-Star team. That means has the stats to be an All-Star, is what I mean by that. But I want to get into something a little bit different in this ripple effect. Now that KD possibly is on the shelf for next year, if you're a team and you're looking at the successful teams this year who have made strong runs in the playoffs, I'm going to ask yourself, with a 31-year player who will be available at 33 years old, possibly, if he has to sit out this year, okay? Maybe he comes back in January like DeMarcus Cousins, because a lot of people are fearful of what could happen. An Achilles injury, I don't know the extent of it, is something that could be reoccurring. It can snap again. But the man still is 6'11", with like a 7'8" wingspan and up. Probably 8-foot wingspan. So does he really need to jump to get his shot off? And that was the X factor with KD, was his ability to jump over folks or get over folks and get his shot off. I don't think it's going to be as much as an impact as people think. However, we may lose the lateral speed KD. He may become more of a post player and then a spot-up shooter, which in all likelihood would still make him a strong scorer, probably in the 25 to 24 point per game range because of his experience in the league. Other players that were out there that could possibly team up with KD to make this trade is what I call it. Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving was the player most talked about, and his mind was on the East Coast as it appears. There are talks of him going to the Lakers. I don't know how that would work out, but right now, the only short shot contender that we have going to the Lakers is a person that's not even on a free agent roster. When I look at 2020, the biggest free agent, obviously, is Anthony Davis. He's not available this year. So all the talk of Anthony Davis, there's going to have to be a trade to make this thing happen. So let's go back up. When we look at the 2019 trade availability and the players that are here, we now have to go to the teams and the ripple effect. Is there a trade in here that everyone can sign? Possibly DeMarcus Cousins make a trade, right? Could that make a trade for some team? Klay Thompson is possibly available. The biggest name now, with Kevin Durant going down, in my opinion, is going to be Kemba Walker. His stock just went up. He's going to have a choice of plenty of teams that are going to vie for his services so they don't lose out on what they consider a run. Does Isaiah Thomas, who had the hip injury, finally come back and make something happen? He's still 30 years old, so he probably has 3 to 4 more years of prime. Will some team give him a chance to see if he still has something left with the injury to KD? There is a ripple effect here, guys. Derrick Rose, he's going to be contending for something more. Jimmy Butler, point percentage is down because he was on a great team. He is vying for a lot more slots. So is Tobias Harris. So is Jabari Parker, as well as Julius Randle. The plot has thickened. Does D'Angelo Russell stay with Brooklyn? Again, this is just a rant and telling you everyone that's available right now at a high level. Harrison Barnes now comes back up. How are these teams going to play this? Are they going to go ahead and take the risk and try to get Kevin? Does Kevin take the risk in moving off from Golden State? Interesting play. Let's talk about it a little bit more. If I look at the teams at the top, and my point of doing this is, do you necessarily need the three-trade lineup to make something special? I mean, Golden State's proven that the trade plus one, right? They're actually a quad when you look at Draymond Green, is working. They're at the top of the Heat from a win percentage, right? They're right near the Milwaukee Bucks. Not so far off. Remember, this is something that we're looking at from a season perspective. Toronto Raptors are right there. They're not showing the stats for the season, but I really wanted to get into these teams here through the regular season and what were their rosters. Let's talk about it a little bit more. Getting outside of the top 1, 2, I would say 1, 2, 3. This is a trade team. Boston Celtics. Yeah, Boston Celtics are not even a trade team. So Golden State, Toronto, Philadelphia. Houston is on the edge of a trade team. I don't see that many trade teams. Oklahoma City is no, they're not a trade team either. It's a two team. So duo. So you got to look at this and say to yourself, from a KD perspective, do I need to go all out this year and get KD to get myself in position? I mean, the Philadelphia Sixers went all out. I mean, they had the roster of the freaking year. They got everybody that you can think of that you could want for a chance for a championship. If they could sign all these guys back and then add to their bench, I think it would be exciting to see. I mean, you got an all-star Joel Embiid, Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris stats from the LA Clippers is all-starish, and Ben Simmons. You got 4 all-stars. Can you keep all these guys? Money-wise, it probably won't work out. But that's a team that potentially, I would say, try in any way possible to re-sign Jimmy Butler. Make that happen. That ripple effect shouldn't change. Sign Jimmy Butler. He was the heart and soul of that team. Unless Jimmy wants to go out west, and I wouldn't disagree with him, to go to the LA Lakers. I think that's the move you make. And then you can try to find somebody else to replace this Tobias Harris player. I don't know their free agency dollar-wise where they can end up. But you keep it. Don't change that, right? I'm going to get into the good stuff in a second. 1 second. Boston Celtics. What do? Right? They're vying for Anthony Davis. That's the talk. Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving are not being talked about on this team. The reason being is Terry Rozier, I think, is ready to fill in that point guard spot and become the MIP player next year, barring no injury. And that's why you're too deep. You're too deep in players. Why I say you need both players, because if you can keep them happy, of KD situations. The Achilles. Wouldn't it have been nice to have, again, hypothetically, I know the dollars don't work out. Wouldn't it have been nice to have Harrison Barnes if KD was out? I mean, that would have been a nice fill-in. But you can't, right? You can't. So now these two can't play together. And I'm not saying they hate each other. It's just, there's no room. I think Kyrie doesn't like the bleeping management on the Boston Celtics. And he's trying to make the move. Does this team, and Gordon Hayward's going to come on the books next year. Do you move anybody to get AD? And does AD take you to a championship with this team? Does AD think this team is championship caliber if they lose Kyrie Irving? You hear my silence? I don't think the Boston Celtics are as in good position as they think they are. The assets are Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. But for me, there's not enough assets here for me to say, hey, man, we're good to go. My name's AD, and I'm going to head out to the Boston Celtics to win me a championship. This team is not attractive enough, and they can't attract another all-star. On paper, Jalen or Jason or Terry will be all-stars. But right now, there is none. It's going to be Al Horford and Anthony Davis. And I don't think that makes sense for a one-year rental because, as I mentioned, Anthony Davis is a 2020 free agent and not a 2019 free agent. What would they have to give up to get him? And for a rental, who else would come there? So if you go to 2020, let's do a deeper dive analysis. If you look at 19, okay, Rose, really nothing really, stands out. Nikolai Vujacic is another interesting play, by the way, guys. He's a great center from Orlando who could get paid somewhere, but I don't see anything in here on this free agency, again, that they could get that could fill the void in of, losing Kyrie, in my opinion, an all-star. This was their all-star. This is really a single-point team, even though Al Horford was an all-star from a stat perspective at one point. I think the Boston Celtics stay ho. Okay, stay ho means stay steady. Wait for next year. I think you have a lot more options for 2020 free agency versus a full free agency versus what you have for 2019. As you can see, the list of players here. Durant comes on the books. Drummond, arguably next year is just as strong as this year. Why you're seeing the same players is they're free agents this year where their teams can match. And they can also match next year, but next year they're fully unrestricted, no options, and that's when KD could also come in the books if he decides to re-sign with his current option. I think there's more out there for the next year than there is this year for impact players, because Kawhi Leonard, I think, is set in stone. I think he's either going to LA or Toronto. I'm off of the Celtics. Let's go to my other side. LA Clippers. Only one player that can possibly go there, right? You look at their roster, they are filled with role players. There's really not one all-star. Danny Gallinari needs to be re-signed. It looks like Kawhi is not going to if they win the championship, Clippers, I mean, they have money. But could they attract Kawhi and AD on that team? I mean, that's going to be their play. Could they get Kawhi and AD to join this defensive-minded team, which has done so well and caused so many teams pain with the lineup that from a name perspective, you don't think it's that much. But these teams play together, and Doc Rivers, thank you, Coach of the Year, in my opinion. That's what happens when you got great coaching. He can make things happen. They have three-point shooting. They have bench scoring and Lou Williams. They have what I call the Dennis Rodman 2020, the Montrezl Harrell. They have some good pieces. I still don't see championship unless they can sign Gallinari and then sign Kawhi as well as Anthony Davis. And that would be an interesting play and a strong play for a championship run. I think that's what would make sense from this team perspective. They can make some moves to make them happen. So the Clippers, AD, or Kawhi Leonard. I'm going to continue down. Does AD stay with his current team? I think the Pelicans would be stupid to force this scenario. But could they attract another all-star when they draft Zion Williamson? Could they re-sign Julius Randle? Don't think so. Don't think they have the money. So now it's just Okafor, AD, and Zion Williamson, almost three players doing the same things. I don't know if this is going to work out for this team. And I think AD leaves, and this team gets a slew of draft picks from either the Boston Celtics, who I don't think have enough, or the next team I'm going to discuss, which is the damn LA Lakers, and see what they got. All right? Jumping over to the Lakers, let's skip the Pelicans because there's only one play there. Get new players. LA Lakers have a tremendous amount of talent. This is the point of the video. The Denver Nuggets, I mentioned from a stat perspective, the Portland Trail Blazers, right? These are all teams that kind of have duos instead of the trades that everyone likes to have based upon the Miami Heat, LeBron James days. And duos are working pretty darn good. Toronto Raptors are technically a duo, right? Boston Celtics, Horford and Irving, duo. I know I understand Tatum and Hayward and Brown, but they're not there yet, okay? And from a consistency perspective. Denver Nuggets, right? They are a total team effort, but Jokic is your all-star. And I got Murray in there as he's your secondary superstar, right? and they've made it pretty far. They've been close to beating some of the top teams with the quad lineups, right? And the trade lineups, right? Brooklyn Nets are another team that has one all-star and a bunch of superstars. Again, they have a potential all-star in Caris LeVert. However, not there yet. He was injured. So you look at these teams and you say, man, we were that close. Do we give up the whole pot to try to get a superstar? Well, LeBron James talked. I think LeBron James feels he needs to do this. And I'm going to argue from LeBron James' perspective, slow the roll, brother. I don't think you need to sell the whole pot right now with what we learned with KD. Your next in line is gone. All you're going to have is Kawhi to focus on. Do you necessarily need to trade the whole team? Or do you keep your draft pick, build up, and prepare for 2020 to try to attract one other all-star, which could be AD, who comes off of free agency and can sign with any team he wants? Why give up the pot? Why not add in Darius Garland and keep everybody that you have? Kyle Kuzma is 6'9". He'll be coming into his own. He could play a fake KD for a little while. I think so. Brandon Ingram's there. Lonzo Ball, another year of improvement. I mean, these are the years that these guys should come in the full form. Brandon showed strong progress last year. I think that the Lakers should hold put and wait for next year, draft Garland, and have fun. I think that's what should happen. We'll see what happens, but they're going to also make some little free agent moves on the side that we'll see that will pay dividends. But the core, Kuzma, James, Ingram, and Ball, this team could be a quad team if they don't make any changes. You got one of the best six man and Josh Hart. Interesting play, slow the roll, don't make any moves, Lakers. That's my opinion. Brooklyn Nets, ripple effect. This is the team that's most impacted. I should have done these guys first. It's going to hurt these guys. It's going to hurt these guys big time, okay? They have lost a lot with KD, now with the Achilles injury. But do they have time? Do they have time to wait? I don't think so. I don't think so because there's a big decision point with D'Angelo Russell. Do you re-sign him or do you go after KD and Kyrie? And could you attract KD and Kyrie? What's the long-term prognosis of KD? In my opinion, another team that should either wait or sign a lower-tier free agent to add to this team. I just highlighted the Portland Trail Blazers, Denver Nuggets, LA Clippers. They're teams that have made it without these superstars and were very close to knocking off some of these teams. Matter of fact, Denver Nuggets made a very strong run and knocked off a lot of these teams. So why? Why in God's earth would we try to make a move right now to get an all-star that's going to probably gut the team to sign him and who's injured? My opinion, stay put. If you can't sign one of these guys, maybe get Kyrie only. Keep D'Angelo and go from there and see what you can build through the draft. See who you can get from another type of trade scenario, lower tier all-star. I'm Paul Millsap's older, but I'm just giving an example. Somebody at that level. And see if you can make that run. There's a possibility that could happen. We don't know where Caris LeVert will become, but I think he's an interesting prospect that has great potential. Next up, my favorite, New York Knicks. This is a team that I definitely think should hold on, be strong. Kemba Walker's available, but you got Dennis Smith Jr. You got a multitude of talent that I think should be re-signed, and that you need to add one more star to make something happen. This is the team that has the most potential to wait as well. Could they sign AD and hold put without going for the bank and signing AD and Kyrie? Let this young youth team grow. You add on RJ Barrett. Very, very interesting to just keep it and sign KD. I think the only move the Knicks should make is just sign KD and let him sit for the year while these young kids develop. And then see what's available for the 2020 free agency. And maybe possibly if they suck enough, no offense, get another high draft pick with a pretty strong draft for centers next year. A Wiseman, one of those guys, would be interesting to add on to this team. And KD would have enough young power to be able to either make a trade or possibly make a run. The New York Knicks, I think, should be the only team looking to sign KD with their lineup. Because of all the young talent, this is a team that can hold on, be strong. Sign KD, hold on if KD's willing to wait. He's out next year. Get another high draft pick next year. Hey, you're on the run for a championship, and these young guys would have another year of development along with RJ Barrett, who I think could be a potential all-star. And you got a good team that can have a duo potential and possibly a trio with, I think, Dennis Smith Jr. All for sports, my thoughts at this time: don't move too much. The ripple effect has been made, but hey, you can still have a vision, and the vision can still be strong with this new NBA, where the duos are the championship caliber teams versus the trios. Off work, I'm out. Peace.